is Radio Prague International, coming to you from the Czech capital.
Hello and welcome to Radio Prague. I'm Daniela Lazarová. Coming up in today's program, artificial joints that not only replace damaged bones but also release medicine directly into the body could soon become available to patients in the Czech Republic. We'll tell you more about that. The 2026-27 season in Czech football kicks off after the summer break on Saturday. We'll look at who's to beat. And later on in the show, Ruth Franková talks to František D'Agostino, who this year joined the elite group of climbers who can boast a one-day ascent of El Capitan's El Niño route. All that coming up, but first here's the news.
News.
China has added 14 European Union entities to its export sanctions list in response to EU sanctions related to Russia. According to the AFP news agency, the Czech manufacturer Tatra Trucks, which produces heavy-duty military and specialized vehicles, is among the companies targeted. That means China will stop supplying the blacklisted entities with dual-use goods that can be used both for civilian and military purposes with immediate effect, the news agency said. Finance Minister Alena Schillerová has acknowledged that the government may consider partially privatizing Prague Airport at some time in the future, although she said no concrete steps are currently being taken. Prime Minister Andrej Babiš previously suggested the state could float a minority stake in the airport operator on the stock exchange. Airport trade unions remain on strike alert, citing the privatization plans among their concerns. The opposition has also criticized the proposal, arguing that Prague Airport is both a profitable company and a critical piece of national infrastructure that should remain under full state ownership. Industry experts, however, note that shared ownership of airports is common across Europe. A Chinese espionage suspect remains in detention in Prague after the state prosecutor appealed the verdict of a Prague municipal court, which ruled that he should be released from pre-trial detention and returned the case to police for further investigation, Deník N reported. Investigators fear the man would leave for China or seek refuge at the Chinese embassy in Prague if released, effectively putting him beyond the reach of Czech authorities. The Prague High Court has until mid-September to rule on the appeal. A proposal by Health Minister Adam Vojtěch to allow assisted reproduction for women without a partner has drawn strong objections during the interministerial consultation process. Several ministries, the government's Legislative Council and the head of the government's office have called for the bill to be substantially revised or withdrawn. Critics warn it raises unresolved family law issues, could increase the number of single mothers without addressing the impact on state social spending, and fails to clarify legal questions surrounding the determination of paternity. President Petr Pavel welcomed this year's Czech Wimbledon champions and finalists to Prague Castle on Friday, thanking them for briefly rekindling the right kind of patriotism across the country through their performances. The president said the players deserved recognition not only for representing Czechia with distinction, but also for their amazing sportsmanship. Those attending the ceremony included Wimbledon singles champion Linda Nosková and runner-up Karolína Muchová, as well as Legends doubles winner Lucie Šafářová and finalist Barbora Strýcová. And finally, a quick look at the weather forecast. Saturday should be bright and clear around the country, with daytime highs between 24 and 29 degrees Celsius. That was the news, and we now turn to our main stories of the day. Czech researchers are developing a custom-made 3D printed implant with a porous structure that can be infused with drugs and release them gradually over time. To support the project, the Prague team has acquired a state-of-the-art 3D metal printer. Czech patients could soon receive joint implants that not only replace damaged joints, but also deliver medication directly into the body. Anne-Marie Regner explains.
artificial joints that could not only replace damaged bones but also release medicine directly into the body. That's the goal of a project being developed by researchers at the University of Chemistry and Technology in Prague, together with doctors from Motol University Hospital. At the heart of the research is a custom-made titanium implant produced on one of the country's most advanced 3D metal printers. Researcher Jiří Kubásek explains how the machine functions while it works on printing a knee implant.
It's an extremely precise machine when it comes to fine detail. It can be used to produce a variety of porous structures that mimic, for example, natural bone tissue.
The process begins with a computer model, which is divided into hundreds or even thousands of layers. The printer spreads a thin layer of titanium powder before a laser fuses it into shape. It then repeats the process over and over again until the implant is complete. For a knee implant, that means roughly around 1,300 layers, and the entire print takes roughly 10.5 hours. According to Kubásek, the porous structure is what makes the technology so promising.
Bone tissue isn't solid, it's naturally porous, which allows body fluids to circulate through it. The pores are only tens to hundreds of micrometers wide, and this printer allows us to recreate structures of exactly that scale.
The tiny pores do more than help the implant integrate with surrounding bone. They can also be filled with medication before surgery. Professor Dalibor Wojciech, who leads part of the research, demonstrates several different titanium implants designed for the hip, shoulder, and ankle. He says the porous nature of the structure encourages bone regrowth and serves as a reservoir for drugs tailored to individual patients. The main task now is to find a carrier material that is completely safe for the body and breaks down slowly at precisely controlled rate. Wojciech demonstrates an example, a small white implant resembling a pill.
In this particular case, the implant is impregnated with a material based on sulfates, phosphates and silver, which has antibacterial properties. It also contains the antibiotic vancomycin, which acts as a barrier against post-operative infections.
If the technology proves successful, future artificial joints could do much more than simply replace damaged bone. They could also provide targeted treatment as patients recover, reducing the risk of infection and delivering medicine exactly where it's needed.
My thanks to Anne-Marie Regner for that report. And we turn now to sports. The 2026-27 season in Czech football kicks off after the summer break on Saturday. Slavia Prague look like the team to beat as they go for 3 championship titles in a row, while their city rivals Sparta will be out to end a 2-year trophy drought. Ian Willoughby has the details.
The most dramatic moment of last season in the Chance Liga came in May when, with their club minutes from securing the title against Sparta, Slavia supporters invaded the pitch at the club's stadium. The incident led to a hefty fine for Slavia and the closure of the Fortuna Arena for 4 games. Nevertheless, Slavia sealed their second title in 2 years, only 1 week later. After the disgrace hit Derby, the club dropped 2 players who'd been sent off during the game from their squad, signalling their end at the club. However, one of them, Tomáš Chorý, looks set to remain for the 2026-2027 season, after Slavia's billionaire owner Pavel Tykač this week ordered that he be welcomed back into the fold. Club chairman Jaroslav Tvrdík explained the situation.
The
owner appreciates the fact that Tomáš helped the club win 2 titles and has decided to give him another chance. This morning I received an order from the board to return Tomáš Chorý to Slavia Prague's A team. He has a valid contract and we will act on that basis going forward. The other player dropped after the May derby, David Dodiara, is still set to exit the club. Meanwhile, coach Jindřich Trpišovský has been at Slavia since 2017 and will be hoping to cement his achievements there with a second hat-trick of titles. The bookies certainly fancy his chances, making Slavia clear favourites. Second favourites are Sparta Prague, who haven't won a trophy since the Czech Cup in 2024. Coach Brian Friska, who returned 12 months ago for his second stint on the Sparta bench, said this week that the country's most successful club historically was hungrier than ever for title glory. Viktoria Pilsen, who last won the championship back in 2021-2022, are regarded as the best of the rest. Their head coach, Martin Hiskey, says the West Bohemian side are ready for their opening game on Saturday early evening. Many of our players took part in the World Cup. We were waiting to get them all back, and now we have them. I think our preparations have been good. We faced some good opponents and had a great camp in Austria. I believe we're ready for Liberec in our first game of the season. Along with Viktoria Pilsen, Baník Ostrava are expected to be in the mix for European places come the end of the season. And fighting it out at the other end of the table may be the newly promoted Zbrojovka and their Brno rivals Artis, who gained promotion through an administrative decision and are favourites for the drop.
Ian Willoughby reporting. A reminder that you're with Radio Prague International, the external service of Czech Radio. And now here's Ruth Franková with a very special guest.
For climbers, El Capitan in California's Yosemite National Park is what Mount Everest is for mountaineers. This spring, Czech climber František D'Agostino achieved something that only a handful of people have ever done. Together with American climber Samuel Stroh, he free-climbed the legendary El Niño route on El Capitan in a single day. Just a few days later, the pair returned to tackle another demanding route on the wall, Golden Gate, this time in a 26-hour push. Upon his return from Yosemite, I met with D'Agostino to talk about the experience, the challenges of big wall climbing, and his plans for the future. So first of all, what does it feel like to achieve something that only a handful of climbers in the world have ever done?
Well, it feels like a dream. I obviously had the ambition and some kind of plan coming into Yosemite Valley, but I feel like I didn't have very high expectations and I came pretty open-minded, and the result was just over the top for me. There is a big difference between knowing that you can theoretically do something and then actually doing it and standing on the top of the mountain and being like, wow, we did it. So returning from ascents such is always a little bit surreal. It just feels like it happened in a different realm. And being in this like elite group of climbers, basically my idols and people I look up to is amazing.
For listeners who may never have heard of El Capitan, what makes it such a special place in the climbing world?
I feel like the wall is the most iconic big wall in the world. It's mostly because of the location. It's just in California. It's in the middle of civilization. You can just literally drive your car and look up. And I feel like that's what makes it special. And there is something about the shape of the wall that just makes it look spectacular. Like there are different walls that are equally big, but this one just like seems really big when you look up. And there is a lot of history that happened in that place. So basically big wall climbing as we do it today kind of was born in that valley and on those walls. And I feel like that's also very important, or there's some mystique to it.
You chose a route called El Niño. What makes that route special?
I feel like it's a different route than what people usually climb on El Capitan, because the character of climbing and the rock is a little bit different. There are not many cracks, which Yosemite is maybe also famous for. It's more wall climbing, and the rock is more like diorite instead of this golden granite, and it's also quite overhanging. So yeah, different character. And it is historically pretty special route too. It was only the third route free climbed on the wall on El Capitan. And the free climb is basically a variation of North America wall, which is also a legendary route from 1964. So yeah, it has a lot of history in it, and that's what makes it special, I guess.
And when you stood at the bottom of El Capitan looking up on that route, what was going through your mind?
I think I was just excited. I was excited to touch the rock and climb up. That's what it makes me feel. And yeah, we just had a lot of fun doing it.
Just excited, or did you feel any fear perhaps?
Not really, honestly, this time. I think I was just excited. It was very different than the first time I was in Yosemite, which was 2022. And that was like, I was 21 years old. It was my first big wall experience. Very big trip for me. And I felt intimidated for sure. But this time I came there with like so much more experience. I had a really good partner, which also I think made me feel good. I like felt we are ready and we know what we are doing. So yeah, I feel like it was mostly being excited.
Most climbers spend several days on El Capitan, sleeping on the wall and hauling their equipment with them. You chose to try one of its hardest routes in a single day. Why?
Yeah, that's the style that I wanted to try. I've never really tried it before in such extent. And basically, spending multiple days on a big wall is so much work. It's very demanding because you need to just haul up so much stuff that you need to survive. And when you're climbing in a day, you only need like jacket, a little bit of food and a little bit of water. So you are just much more light, and it's much more about climbing, and there is this sense of freedom in it. So I think that's what attracted me to it. And it was exactly like that. It just feels so freeing to be able to climb fast and efficiently and quickly through this wall. And if you have some sort of climbing level to do that, it's definitely a better style than spending more days.
So what was the toughest moment in those 18 hours?
I feel like the toughest was the period of time between like 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. when it's like the darkest and coldest night, and I was just most tired, and you already are climbing for many hours. So it's kind of like an energy low point. But otherwise, we were just cruising. We felt really good because really well prepared. We knew the route and everything kind of went smooth.
You said you only brought a jacket, some food and water. Was that really all? I read somewhere that you also needed painkillers.
Yeah, I feel like some sort of supplements are crucial to such feat. And
so that means energy bars or...
Yeah, that means like just a lot of bars, electrolytes in the water, then magnesium pills to reduce the cramps. And yeah, then we also got the painkillers because you are climbing for many hours in very small shoes and you are standing on small footholds and that hurts. So, and the pain kind of takes energy out of you. So the painkillers are mostly to like save your energy, I would say. And it definitely keeps you kind of going. And caffeine pills are also very crucial. So it comes in waves with the energy. And when you are low, we just like took some caffeine pill, took some magnesium and took some painkillers and moved on.
You said you were well prepared. How do you actually prepare for a challenge like this? How do you train? What does the training look like?
So I feel like for a challenge like this, it kind of comes down to all the climbing I've done in my life. I didn't train very specifically. I was just trying to be in as good as a physical shape I could before. But I wasn't like trying to simulate climbing 28 pitches in a day or something, because that only makes you tired. So I feel like I was training my strength mostly, and then it kind of transformed into this big endurance and it worked pretty well. And then we decided to use this style where we rehearsed all the pitches beforehand, before trying it in one push. So we spent like 6 days total on the wall before, not all at once, but we were always like coming up and down. And then we rappelled from the top down actually one day and also tried the top section. And once we knew all the pitches and all the climbing and memorized all the moves, we knew we were ready and tried it from the ground.
What about your partner? How long have you known each other?
So we met in 2022 actually in Yosemite when I was there last time. And since then we had some contact. We met like twice in Europe on other climbing locations. And we sort of just knew about each other. I feel like the world of big wall free climbing is pretty small. And at some point before this trip, we both kind of wrote each other searching for partners, and it seemed like a perfect match. But we actually haven't climbed together beforehand. So it was our first climbing together, and it went just amazing. We had the most amazing partnership, and I feel like that was a very big part of the success.
It actually went so well that after you scaled El Niño, you decided to climb another route on El Capitan called Golden Gate. Wasn't one ascent enough?
Yeah, we were just motivated for another because it just went so well. We just topped out and felt like not even like super tired or crushed. We were obviously tired, but we were like, yeah, we did it and we think we can do it again. So we just kind of immediately switched to another objective. And it was a great mindset because we already had one success in the pocket. So the pressure is off kind of. And we were just excited for more climbing. So El Niño kind of made sense. And it made sense to do it ground up, which means we didn't have those 6 preparing days. Samuel climbed it like 5 years ago with other partner, with the sleeping on the wall and in that style. But I didn't, so for me it was really like I never rehearsed any of the pitches except the first like half of the route. The easier half is shared with freerider route, which I did in 2022, so it was not completely new. But the hard part of the route, the upper half of the wall, was new for me, which made it much more adventurous and exciting as well, and harder as well. Because the route is actually easier than El Niño, but when you do it in this style, it's a very big difference. And I feel like these athletic feats are kind of on the same level in the end for me because of the difference of the style.
But if I understand it correctly, this second route is longer, isn't it?
It's much longer, yeah.
So it took you 26 hours, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes, which was crazy. And it took more time because, we always, all the crux pitches, which are the hardest sections of the wall, we needed to kind of climb through first, rehearse them, figure out how to climb them, and then give a try. So it takes more time, and we were the first party up that route that season, so there was nothing to help us, kind of. So that obviously took more time, and the goal was to do it within 24 hours, but we got stuck on the very last hard pitch, which was like, 120 meters below the top. But we got stuck, and we ended up climbing it on our 5th try, completely exhausted and out of it. So it was just more epic because in El Niño in the sand we actually haven't took almost any falls. We just climbed everything. All the hardest pitches we pretty much climbed on the first try. So that was the difference. And it's so much longer. I underestimated that because the wall is 900 meters tall, but there are so many down climbs and traverses, climbing to the side and climbing down.
So that
it's almost 1,200 meters of climbing in the end, so it's very long.
Was there a moment during that second climb when you thought that you might actually not make it?
Yeah, definitely. On that last pitch, I was fighting very hard, and in my mind, I was definitely like, I'm not gonna give up, I'm not gonna leave here without doing it. But then I still fell, and then Samuel ascended, and at that point, it was clear that he would not kind of come back and support me on more tries. So I just knew I had this one last try. I either free climb to the anchor where he was, or I fall and we just go to the top and only he would send. So at that point I was like, okay, now it's just decided and all that is left is to try. And I kind of found my peace in that mindset because I made peace finally with the possibility of not doing it, which was a very strong moment. And then I did it. But it was like unbelievable. There was also a photographer and we were all just like looking at each other in disbelief that we did it. Yeah.
So I understand I asked about training, but it's not only about physical training. It's very much also about your mindset and about being strong in your mind.
Yeah, very much. I would say climbing generally is a lot about the head game, but climbing big walls is even more so. I would say more than 50%. So you are kind of like exceeding your physical limits and just trying to overcome everything. And the mindset is crucial in that. I feel like from my experience, the body doesn't really have a limit until your mind is still kind of like focused and motivated. So if you want it hard enough, the body can do incredible things. So I guess maybe that's what I'm good at. I'm not that strong of a climber, but I want it very much.
I know you have recently become a father. You are also a student at the University of Applied Arts here in Prague. How do climbing, family life and art fit together?
I would say hardly. I would say I'm just living multiple lives at once, and sometimes it's very chaotic and I'm always late or something. But it's at the same time very beautiful and I enjoy it. But I don't know how I do it. I'm just dealing with consequences of my actions, I guess. I decided I want to have a family and that I want to be a young father, and I'm happy with it. It's a big gift into my life.
What is it about climbing that keeps bringing you back?
I feel like it makes me feel the best in my body and in my mind. It's just the most effortless state of being for me. When I'm climbing, I kind of switch off everything and I don't need to think about anything else. It kind of brings me into this present moment, and that's what I'm addicted to, I would say. Yeah, it's just very pure and elusive also, so you need to keep chasing it. So that's what makes me climb.
What do those recent achievements mean for your future? Would you like to do climbing professionally?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely hope so, that this gives me a good position to become a professional climber, which, since I'm climbing all the time, would make sense because I'm not planning to stop doing that, either being a professional climber or not. So being a professional climber would make it more easy for me. And Yosemite is definitely the place where climbers from all over the world come to prove themselves, and it's the biggest stage that everybody is watching. So I'm very happy that the trip ended up this way, and that now I can maybe use these successes for my future climbing career.
And after this experience in the Yosemite, what's the next dream?
Oh, there are many. My dreams are now aimed towards the big mountains, Patagonia or Karakoram in Pakistan. Basically bringing these skills that I gained climbing smaller rocks in more controlled environment, and bringing that skill into the big mountains where there are so many factors that you cannot really influence. Seems thrilling to me. So I would say there is my future in climbing and my ambition.
František D'Agostino, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much for having me.
And I'm afraid that's all we have for you from Prague today. You'll find us at radio.cz. This is Daniela Lazarová saying thanks for joining us and take care.